Alright, so, a while back I got this fancy new Macintosh Plus computer here. Unfortunately, it came with a broken floppy drive, but today my replacement floppy drive arrived, so I was able to swap it out, and it's working just fine now. You can see here I've got the Mac, just normal desktop pulled up. We pull up the About option here. Let me just zoom in. Might be kind of hard to see there, but this one does have the 4 megabyte RAM upgrade, 4 times as much RAM as the stock model, so it's blazing fast there. So, and then didn't have anything to run on it until I got the replacement drive, which actually came with a old Macrite floppy drive that the previous owner had left inside. So let me just boot that up to show it in use. Just need to eject the system floppy disk, put in the Macrite one. Alright. We have the dictionaries, options. Could not be opened. Okay. Merge write examples. Threatening letter. Let's open that up and take a look. Need to put in the system disk. And now put Macrite back in. And now put the system disk back in. And now put Macrite back in. And again. So yeah, you can see why the external floppy drive was such a necessity for actually using anything, so that way you didn't have to keep swapping between disks. Unfortunately, that external floppy drive, I pulled the working one out, and so now I only have a broken floppy drive to spare. Macrite. Okay, so that's their stock example threatening letter. Account has been overdue for days outstanding days. Okay. So let's see if we can... No, we cannot. Have to put in the system disk before we can close it down. Don't want to save any changes. Put Macrite back in. Alright, so let's see if we can start up a new file. Macrite. Gotta admit that there's a really satisfying thunk to the floppy drive I'm putting in. Okay, so here is Macrite. Let's keyboard's a bit awkward. There's a lot of force to each keys. They don't have a clear trigger. And then, perhaps most annoyingly, is that the D and K keys have the little bump on them to like help you sort of find your center for touch typing, instead of F and J like it is on modern keyboards. So that often winds up to having one's hands being off place, which then leads to very messy typing. So I have to retrain myself to use that. But besides that, the keyboard works pretty well. Yeah. So yeah, that's MacWrite, the only actual piece of software I have for this thing right now. So I'll probably need to hunt down some more old floppy drives. Oh, did not realize I had K pressed. If I actually want to use this at all. What I'm hoping to do is work out something with like a Raspberry Pi and a microcontroller to make a custom Ethernet adapter for this. On the back, it has a printer serial port that the old Apple computers used for the old AppleTalk protocol, which is very obtuse and bizarre, but hopefully I can work out some sort of custom adapter there, because then I could pull up a terminal on the Mac here, telnet into the Raspberry Pi, and then the Raspberry Pi can just serve as like a file server and that's connected by a network here, and then if I'm telnetting into the Raspberry Pi, I can pull up a terminal there and then connect to the internet normally, and potentially even get a web browser on here by like telnetting to the Raspberry Pi and using a terminal-based web browser like Lynx or something. That I'll have to see if I can actually do that. I found a forum thread where someone made a BeagleBone Black AppleTalk adapter, so hopefully I can reverse engineer some of his hardware and code and port it over to the Raspberry Pi, but I don't know. I'll have to see. But for now, at least, this thing is working. Let me just quit. Don't save. And just wait for it to slowly boot up. I'm also going to need to hunt down more just more blank floppy disks for it, since this thing took 800 kilobyte floppy disks, which really would be a 720 kilobyte floppy disk, then just formatted specifically for this floppy drive to get an extra 80 kilobytes of space on there. But I need to hunt down some of them because I've got some like 1.4 megabyte floppies lying around, but I might be able to format them for this, but I'd rather find ones that it can actually, that's meant to use. But I guess that's all for now. So, or actually, I should probably eject before shutting down. All right.